It's Jessie. Today I'm drinking some Seaside Citrus caffeinated green tea from Faba Tea Company. I haven't had this one before and it certainly smells very fragrant. So I'm almost 25 years old and I'm here to review The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. So somehow in my reading journey all the way back in middle school and high school, I just kind of missed most of the popular fantasy that was going around at that time. I never read Inkheart or the Percy Jackson series or Eragon. But recently, a couple of my friends that I play D&D with have been raving about how much they loved the book, fondly reminiscing about Eragon and the Inheritance Cycle, so I decided to give it a shot. This was a mistake. For the most part. Maybe the bigger mistake was waiting a week after I finished the series to write my script for this review and then waiting another week to record the review. And who knows how long it'll be till you see this, because that's just life right now. So before I get into this, 2 quick disclaimers. 1, off the bat, I did not like this series. So if that's going to upset you, just click away now. Don't make yourself angry listening to somebody talk about your favorite book series from your childhood. It's just not a good choice. Also, this is in no way personal. I know a lot of people really like this series and have really fond memories of this, so I'm not attacking you. But go ahead in the comments below, let me know what you love about this series and tell me why you disagree with some of my points. Just please stay polite. 3. This is going to be a little more ranty and a little less organized than a pros and cons list that I tried to do for my reviews, although really haven't been doing for my review, just because it's been a while. It took me months to read the series and then it's been another week, so just bear with me. So, good thing. I really liked the first book. Eragon, I thought, was a pretty solid start to a fantasy series. It was a little bit cliche. I wouldn't go so far as to say derivative or rip-off as I've seen other people say, but it was a solid base. When I finished Eragon, I was really excited to get to the rest of the series because I genuinely thought that it was setting the foundation for something really interesting. The characters were like at the beginning of their journey and could really go somewhere, and the story was really gonna go somewhere, and it didn't. The first book was solid. Alright, so why didn't I like this series? First off, the portrayal of women in this series was super weird. There were plenty of powerful women in this, which you would think is a good thing, but it was just so surface level. The powerful women in this rarely actually do anything. Arya, who was supposed to be a super awesome warrior elf lady, was constantly being rescued by Eragon, constantly put in situations she couldn't get herself out of for some reason. One of the women we never really learn anything about. She just pops in to be cryptic and then pops back out, and we never really figure out who she is or anything about her. And I'm not going to be able to talk about this without spoilers, so I'm not going to even try, but Nesuada disappointed me so very much. She was just so close. And the other thing is that despite all of these really powerful women and women in positions of power, like not just powerful like magically or strength-wise, but power as in they have power in this world politically or whatever, there is still getting weird lines like a young girl commiserating about the fact that her sex means she'll never be important in the world. It just was weird and kind of wishy-washy, and I just didn't like how women were portrayed. Oh, not to mention that despite this being a fantasy world where Paolini could have made any choices he wanted, he still felt the need to shoe in a plot line about a father controlling his daughter's choice to who to marry, and the fact that a daughter is really just her father or husband's property. They included that too, so that's just really didn't need to be there. Okay, to move on to a similar but different point, Eragon and Arya. I hated almost every moment of their interactions. Eragon has we'll call it a crush on Arya. he's completely infatuated by her. But Arya is like 8 times his age. She's an elf. He's like 16 and she's like 130 or something like that. My partner's putting dishes away. We're just gonna keep going. So she's very clearly not into his advances, and she makes this very clear to him on several occasions. She says this to him. She tells him to back off, that he's making her uncomfortable. And to give Eragon a modicum of credit, he does back off and really attempt to be just her friend and to not pursue her romantically. But on the other end of that, we're in Eragon's head, so we know how he feels, and it's just so uncomfortable. It made me feel kind of gross at points, and I just did not like it, and it never gets better. Honestly, it gets kind of worse. So, was not comfortable with that. The next issue I had was just on the kind of moral superiority that was going on throughout the whole these books. Eragon thinks that you should never kill a person. Except, if you're in a battle, you can kill a person. But if a person is unarmed, you shouldn't kill them. But you can totally torture them and make their life a living hell, but you can't kill them. Except the story kind of conveniently forgets this until it's suddenly an important plot point for Eragon not to kill a person. It just was very wishy-washy and annoying. I get that. It's a pretty common fantasy trope to have your hero be reluctant to kill and struggle with the morality of it. And I'm fine with that if we get a resolution or if it's done better, but it just wasn't done well in this. And there's really no resolution. It's kind of just the struggle. And again, it only seemed to matter when it mattered. And that just bothered me. And then it just kind of built up with other things. There was a weird like vegetarian plot where Eragon, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but so that morality kind of trickled into other things like vegetarianism, and there was a weird exploration of what gods are and religion and things, but in a way that didn't feel authentic to this fantasy world, but rather felt very like real world commentary-y. It just really, really bugged me. The last thing that kind of sat uneasy with me, I'm not really sure how to address because it might not even be there and it might just be me, so I kind of hesitate to mention it, but I'm going to, so just because I feel the need to point it out. It felt like there was some weird race coding going on with these books that kind of made me a little uncomfortable. So, like, for example, there's one line where somebody's thinking about the elves, and he makes a thought that, like, they're so beautiful except for their pointed ears and slanted eyes. And it just immediately made me feel kind of gross, especially because the elves throughout the series are thought of as beautiful yet exotic. And just was not comfortable for me. I don't know. Maybe it's all in my head. I'm really not the right person to make these kind of conclusions, especially because I wasn't thinking about it, but it just, certain things every once in a while stood out to me. I would love it in the comments below if you could leave, if you're aware of, a like race-conscious review of Eragon or the Inheritance Cycle. If you could leave that below, whether it's another YouTube video or like somebody's blog, I'd love to read it and see if other people have experienced that kind of feeling that I did. If I noticed it when I wasn't even really looking for it, it's probably there. This tea, by the way, is actually pretty good. There's a little bit of almost spiciness to it. What's in this tea? Okay, let's end on a high note. One of the things that really had intrigued me that made me want to read this series was because I'd heard some stuff. You know, Paolini only wrote it when he was 16, and it feels like a 16-year-old wrote it. But my friends told me that, like, you could tell his writing improved. You could feel it improve, you could see it improve. And that really was interesting to me because I like seeing that improvement. It's one of the things I liked about, oh geez, I moved my book's necroseam behind me now, was that I could see the author's writing improving. And you do get that in the Inheritance Cycle. Paolini's writing gets better, and actually by the end I really liked his writing style. There's some scenes that are just so immersive and thought-provoking and really, really well done. So I'd love to read more from him, and I'm really glad that he's publishing a new book this year. It might actually already be out because I don't follow anything like that. So I do want to pick up his new book, even though it's sci-fi, not fantasy, because I like his style, and I'm hoping that his storytelling has improved with his writing style now, and maybe writing in a completely different world will be really good. So I will leave Eragon, the Inheritance Cycle here, but I'm kind of liking the idea of doing this as a continuing series where I revisit middle grade YA books. And I want to alternate between ones I did read as a kid and ones I didn't. So the next one I'm going to pick up is The Last Dragon Chronicles by Chris DeLacy. I read these as a kid. I read the first 4, but it looks like there are 8 books out now. I'm not going to do it right away because I need a little bit of a break, but that's the next book series I'll be diving into from my childhood. I have fond memories of this one. It's really cute, so I'm really excited to read it. Okay, bye.